There's fix-me-ups, there's passion projects, and then there's what's happening in the Salem aircraft hangar.
It's way bigger than just restoring a plane.
This is what's supposed to be there.
What you see is one of the most unique restoration projects that you will likely ever see. This is the Lacey Lady, a B-17 bomber that for nearly 7 decades was the iconic site along McLaughlin Boulevard in Milwaukee.
When I moved to Portland, I saw that plane sitting by the side of the road and I went, who did that?
Turns out the who was the grandfather of her future husband, Jason Scott, who I interviewed back in 2012.
As long as I can remember anything, I've been involved with it in one capacity or another.
Jason's grandfather, Art Lacey, purchased the B-17 back in 1947. It was a surplus plane left over following World War II. Art wanted to use it essentially as a giant billboard for his Milwaukee gas station. So he bought it, flew it from Oklahoma to Troutdale, and then because he didn't have the permits, drove it to Milwaukee in the middle of the night. For 67 years, it sat proudly high atop the Bomber gas station and later the Bomber restaurant.
And a lot of people drove there on a Sunday afternoon because it was kind of cool, right? You go to the Bomber for gas, and then maybe you go out for a burger.
But all that time sitting in the Oregon elements took its toll on the lady. So it was disassembled, and now it's being restored by a group of volunteers like Jerry Duggar, who was once an aviation mechanic in the Navy.
A neighbor of mine brought me down here to the Veterans Coffee one day, and I fell in love with the plane and said, hey, I want to get back into airplanes, and they put me to work.
It's estimated that there are only about 4 B-17s left that are flying in the United States. That's why the goal here is not just to make the Lacey Lady look good, but to get her in the air once again.
There's nothing like watching a B-17 fly. It is just not as beautiful sitting in a storage room. It needs to fly.
The nonprofit B-17 Alliance built a whole museum around the restoration process, but again, the goal is not to make this a museum piece, but an actual flying aircraft, which makes it a much more challenging project.
And it has to pass government regulations. Everything has to be done specifically to the exacting measure. You can't get anything off.
Thankfully for the Lacey Lady, donations have poured in to help fund her massive makeover. And a dedicated group of volunteers, including Jerry and so many others, are making sure that everything is where it should be, right down to the last rivet.
I'm so impressed every day when I watch it because they're putting their professional skills to work in a nonprofit organization for the common good.
Because ultimately, this lady's second act goes far beyond being a roadside showpiece. It's about honoring the millions of service members from our greatest generation high above in the wild blue yonder.
And it's for people to come and be inspired, all generations, so that everybody understands the sacrifices made for our freedom.